Welcome to a holiday Monday match night. Patrice Geyser not looking happy, man, but trust me, he is. Halifax Wanderers out of the basement finally in the Canadian Premier League with a Labor Day 2-1 victory over York United. This is Match Night, and welcome into our OneSoccer studio. Gareth Wheeler, Jordan Wilson, Jon Conway with you to break down the week that was in the Canadian Premier League. We're heading into an international window with Canada competing in 2 games against CONCACAF rivals, and we'll do a deep dive into Toronto FC and the state of the club at present time. But first, let's pick up where we just left off in Halifax, Nova Scotia, and a 2-1 victory for the Wanderers. They're now level on points with Pacific, who had that quick turnaround from the CanChamp loss on Tuesday night in Vancouver to a 2-0 loss to Forge in Hamilton on Friday night. The game of the week, Cavalry, Valor playing to a thrilling 2-2 draw. And another game and another Olympico for Elias Iliadis and a 1-0 victory. That goal coming in the second minute as Ottawa holds on to beat Vancouver. It was a weekend where the top 4 teams played the bottom 4 teams. Valor picked up a point. Halifax picked up a win. Forge now up to 38 points, a 2-point cushion over Atletico, Ottawa. And all to play for in the final stretch of games. Pacific, Halifax have one more game. Then everyone in the Canadian Premier League just plays each other one more time. And that's it. The regular season is done and dusted. I chalk this one down to a must-win for Halifax against York without their top player in Brian Wright in this one. Playing at home, a place where they hadn't lost in 6 games. And Patrice Geyser's side able to complete the set. Patrice Geyser and Halifax have now beat every other Canadian Premier League team under his watch at Wanderers grounds. It probably should have been by a little bit more than just the 2-1 result that it ended up being. They grinded right to the end there, Jordan.
Yeah, they grinded and made it interesting, but you're so right, Wheels. This could have been 2-3-0. And John, you called this game. They started slow the first 20 minutes, but really kicked it into gear, Halifax Wanderers. But for me, job well done, because I thought they were the better side for today.
Yeah, the first 20 minutes were pretty sloppy for both sides, I thought, and then Halifax really got good in the attack. They were able to push their fullbacks forward, create numerous chances, and made it difficult for York defending. And here's a huge chance for Ricci. For me, this has to go back across the goalkeeper. Yeah. You can see the attack for York on the back post is sitting there waiting. And it's just, for me, and this is another good opportunity on the right-hand side, Jordan, where they push fullbacks forward and get a good crossing.
Yeah, it's a bit unorthodox seeing York because they're usually compact, defending really well. For me, looking at them, really miss Atletico today because they were just open. But then Mobile Bully, you can see him, the flick-on header here. Obviously, that's not by design, but puts it enough into the mixer, and then that's 2-0 for Halifax Wanderers. But they pressed and they prodded and then they pushed forward at the right time.
That's how you want to see an attacking corner kick be taken. Babuli, it's unfortunate there, but almost needs to let it go at that time. Game wasn't done. He scores pens and sensational own goals, Dan Nimick.
Yeah, for me, Nimick's in a decent spot here, but I think he gets his hips flapped around and he's facing his own goal. You see it on the later play where he almost scores another own goal where he's facing his own net, and unfortunately he's not able to get a hold of all that ball, and he scores his own goal. And here, Jan Fillion, good tip over the bar and able to save his team and get a big win.
It's a much closer result than it should have been.
Yeah.
That's what it comes down to. But that's the story of Halifax season, just not being able to put away games and too many mistakes welcoming teams back into games.
Well, listen, they had plenty of opportunities first half. Ryan Telfer had a huge chance on a breakaway. And I think what happens is the longer you let teams kind of sit around, they get more confidence. And you see this a lot. And you really got to take advantage of your opportunities. They had them they had their foot on their throats there for a long time, Halifax did. And they just didn't get it done. And, it got tight at the end. And that's not what you really want to see, obviously. I mean, they go up 2 goals early in the second half or midway through the second half. And then, you give up an own goal, and then it gets super tight. Yeah. I mean, just gets any sort of play becomes a real, coin flip because everybody gets nervous.
Yeah. The timing of this win is imperative. Yeah. They have 17 points, with 38 being the top. For me, they're pretty much out of the race. Getting those 3 points today, they can dream, they can hope a little bit, but Wheels, they got to play a bit better.
20 points in 20 games. They're 6 points back with the game in hand on 5th place, Vancouver. Are there signs of life that this Halifax team can figure it out and push towards a playoff spot. I asked head coach Patrice Geiser before the game. He is still bullish. He still thinks that this is a playoff team.
I'll say quickly, I said in the pregame when we had our show that your best players have to play their best football. Thought Rampersad, you said it as well, had a dynamite game. The Nimic outside of the own goal, but I thought in terms of reading the play, Cavalry, their best players were performing. But they have to make sure now that they're 9 out of 10 every week if they really want to make that push.
Yeah, they bring up Rappersad. I thought Rappersad was excellent in the midfield. I also thought Ryan Telfer, for the time that he was in the game, was really good. He needs to finish that chance off, but he was running, he was fighting, he was getting behind the D. He saw opportunities to take Leon 1v1 when he was isolated with Leon on the outside and did so. I thought Ferrazzo and Fernandez both got into the attack and just really pinned back York. They're outside, because with 3 in the back and then the wing backs have to come back and help, and it caused some difficulty in that mid to late first half where they were able to get plenty of chances. I just think, Halifax needs to be able to just put teams away, as we just talked about. I think the more they hang on, the more time that mistakes can happen. In this case, Jan Filling makes a good tip over the bar late, but again, there's opportunities in this game or if there's more opportunities in this game, he's one for me that can be a little wishy-washy sometimes.
Home form has improved for Halifax. They do have 4 more home games. That's the good news. The bad news is next Saturday night, it's going to be a super Saturday here on OneSoccer. Saturday night, Pacific and Halifax, 2 teams tied for 7th. Pacific, I'll correct myself, they're out of the basement. Well, they're not living in the basement alone anymore. Pacific own the tiebreaker on the head-to-head. But Halifax, same number of wins and 4 goals better in terms of goal differential than Pacific. Very quickly on York, no Brian Wright. It's noticeable. He's arguably been the best player in the Canadian Premier League this year. You're hoping that Wright isn't out for a lengthy period of time with that ankle. But you just kind of feel like things may be slipping away in their pursuit of winning the regular season. Frank Stirring's been a loss. Elijah Atakubi, first game that he didn't play in 12. He'll be back. He just served a suspension today. But maybe a little bit too thin of a squad to really compete with the likes of Forge and Cavalry and Ottawa top the table?
Yeah, I'll quickly say that I agree with your sentiment, and also just a goal in the last 4 games. Like each game, they're just scoring 1. I think in this league, 2.5 is really what's putting you in a comfortable position. So they need their goal scorer back for sure.
Brian Wright.
That's your guy.
That's my guy.
You've been consistent.
Yeah.
That's your guy.
And he hasn't been wrong. He has been...
Mr. Wright.
Right. A really good game on Saturday, or this was actually Friday night as well, in Calgary, as the Cavs and Valor played to a thrilling 2-2 draw. All the goals coming in the second half. Bradley Camden scoring his first goal. Cavalry punching 2 goals in a matter of 4 minutes from one another. Then Valor coming back with 2 goals of their own, all on corner kicks. It was a weekend of goals off set pieces in the Canadian Premier League. It's a big point for Valor. But Cavalry, it may be one of those where they gave away those 2 points, John, and you'll look back at the end of the season, that may be the difference between first, second, and third place.
I did this game on Friday night, and I thought, up 2-0, I was like, this is over, and this is beautiful, straight off the training ground. I mean, I love this action. Well comboed, got a little ricochet in there, but whatever, it's still in the back of the net. But the whole build-up and the choreographedness of this was awesome.
They pulled out of the archives from last season as well. Like they love a set piece and trying something different, and it paid off in this match.
It's tough
with those 2 goals
there.
For sure, right? Like there's so many things that have to go right for that goal to happen, but Cavalry take it. But for me, the Rhino, Rafa Ohin, near post runs, John. You're a goalkeeper, you know this. So dangerous because you can't come out.
So difficult. You need to get to that near post space, and all about good service. In that case, though, Fraser Air loses his man, and in this case, on the back stick, just a battle. That is one, and they're able to knot it home. I just think when I was doing this game, I thought, man, Cavalry 2-0, this thing's over and done with. But kudos
especially
to Valor.
at ATCO Field.
Yeah, at ATCO. Kudos to Valor. Fought back, got back in it, and really I thought Cavalry just kind of fell completely flat. Yeah. And they kind of lost their way there, and Valor took advantage, and good on them. They were able to get a point and stay alive.
Valor believe, man.
Yeah.
Believe.
I'm not sure if there's a player in the Canadian Premier League that's improved from game 1 to game 20 more than Bignate this season. I mean, he's taken big steps forward. And still, you look at those 3 teams in the trailing pack for a playoff spot, Valor's got to be most likely to go to catch Vancouver. I mean, a lot of home games, more home games than anyone else, and they're playing good football.
The big point to get.
Yeah,
you're looking at Cavalry, and you're
place.
like, man, that's maybe the 2 points that you lost. But for a team like Valor to get that point away, it's huge.
Yeah,
my man
Femi Antonoglu coming back into the lineup, and I just think he's been so good. I mean, he had a big-time chance early on in the game. Could have went out 1-0. Carducci makes a good foot save. But, I mean, again, he's so dangerous in the attack. He's getting balls in, and he's been just really good for this Valor team.
Antonoglu, I know he doesn't play center back, but fullbacks are part of the Defender of the Year category. He has to be the favorite to go on and win that award. Still, still 7 games to go, so we'll see how it all plays out. And if Valor is a playoff side, that certainly helps his case. On Saturday night in our nation's capital, over 7,000 in attendance to see Atletico Ottawa get back on winning terms. A 1-0 victory came through Elias Iliadis. Back-to-back weeks with an Olympico goal? What? The 5th in league history. It comes near post right here. We weren't sure if Tier Walker got a piece. No. That went in, and give Iliadis credit for the goal. We're going to break it down a little bit later on, but Olympicos, to me, if you see weakness in the goalkeeper, you want to put the pressure on the goalkeeper, and Jon Conway will break that down in a moment's time. Sissoko taken down in the area, penalty given in the air, maybe a little bit soft. Vasco Fry takes him down, and Ollie Bassett, another missed pen. He used to be automatic. It's been a little bit of a struggle this season for Ollie.
Yeah, just missed 2, right? But Callum Irving definitely did his homework, and great save for the keeper because it is struck hard and low, but he does get down and push that one away.
Good save by Irving. He's done this, numerous times this year where he has come up with some big saves in big moments, and he does so there. Bassett, do they reassess it now? Do they maybe change the penalty kick taker up? Who knows?
Sam Salter, a really good penalty taker as well. There are options. I think it was a pretty convincing victory for Ottawa. They were clearly the better side in that game. But let's talk these Olympicos, because Iliadis scored that early in the game. He could have had 3 goals from him taking a corner in this game. John, what did you see? Because it's clearly a strategy to put pressure on the goalkeeper, and the way that it works out, it looks good on the player.
Well, the first one for me is all on Diaz. Diaz gets pulled out of that near post space and exposes that whole area. The other thing that I take away from all this is Ottawa's runs. They start deep in the back on the 6 and run across the box. Normally, most teams start at the penalty spot, which allows defenders, which in this case, Vancouver is in a sort of a half zone, half man. And the zone guys can see both ball and the runners. If they're coming from behind you, you have no idea. So it just causes chaos. And that's sort of what happened. On the first one, you see what happened. They caused chaos. And Diaz kind of feels guys coming, so he starts to inch out. And when he inches out, it opens up the near gap big time. And if Tier Walker if Tier Walker's already there, he doesn't need to touch it, it's going in. But you see Diaz gets pulled out and just opens a huge gap. And I think, Ottawa does a really good job with these runs, coming in from behind and just causing chaos. And just so many bodies, and you can't see, even from a goalkeeper standpoint, you don't have eyes in your back. If you know who's coming across your backside, because you can't see them. And it's really well done by Ottawa. And, I think for me, Vancouver defensively, they try to do half man, half zone, and the zone guys just are left just standing still, and the man guys don't do a good enough job of bumping because they're coming flat, and it just causes a lot of difficulty.
Iliadis, like I said, Olympicos in back-to-back weeks. Ottawa have 3 over the course of their history, Bassett with 1. Tristan Borges has 2. The one most famously scored was in the Canadian Premier League final last year. This is a clear tactic and strategy by these 2 clubs and their managers. And I like it if there's a goalkeeper that struggles at commanding, their box, their 6-yard box in the air. I mean, this is the way forward. Like, the way that most teams mark now, it's hard to score on a corner kick, especially if you're having an out-swinging corner kick. That's why so many teams elect to do it this way now.
Yeah, I understand the in-swing, but I guess defensively, I just have a question for you, John, as well. Wouldn't you sacrifice as a goalkeeper having that one player that's up for the counter and put someone back post? Because for me, you spent your whole life being a goalkeeper, but just me being a defender, I would rather have someone on the back post knowing that they can maybe head that across like NU did for Vancouver than try to go and counter, especially when you know someone like Iliadis is whipping it. He's not just floating it in. Those are whipped in. It's dangerous.
See, I would rather, instead of putting one in the back like NU, I'd rather put him in the front.
post?
Yeah,
Okay.
just because just the way these guys are serving the ball. Both these guys whip Iliadis. You talk about Borges, the whipped near post ball. And if there's a chance for it to get, and Diaz doesn't do a good job on the first one.
That's the thing, he's getting
But
drawn.
if there's another guy there to help out, and I think you need another big boy, whether it's Rocco Romeo or NU or whoever, to help out, because these guys whip the ball in so well. There's no chance I'm getting to that, right? I'd rather, if it comes over, I can deal with the one. It's going to come straight to me if he overhits it. But if they can't get and knock that out for me, it's tough for me to get there. There's going to be bodies, and I need them to deal with that.
Interesting.
I'd rather have another guy near, because
my perception would be like cover the back post, what I can't see.
Yeah,
behind.
Again, I eliminate the first one.
Got you.
That's just how I feel. Eliminate the first one with two big boys heading it away. You saw today's game. I mean, Babuli tries to make a play, but he also had Marquez right behind him. I mean, again, Babuli mistimes it.
Yeah.
But there's two bodies there with nobody from Halifax. The problem in this Vancouver game is that there's so many other bodies from Ottawa coming across, and I would just like to have another guy near. That's just how I rather deal with it.
All right.
Either way, I feel like security needs to be there, right? Whether it's first post or back post.
Need help on a
because
post.
yeah, like right there with Tom Irving, it's just he's kind of left in no man's land.
We got to move on. We'll pick up this conversation, but it's a good conversation to have, and something that managers across the CPL are going to have to deal with. Set pieces this time of the year loom so large. Forge and Pacific battled both on short rest after playing the Can Champ on Tuesday. Problem was Pacific had to fly from Vancouver to Hamilton, and they played to a 2-0 draw. Noah Jensen with two absolute screamers. Didn't see the field against TFC. I would like to see the player play more. I'm not sure if Kyle Becker's dealing with a little bit of a niggle right now. Certainly doesn't look 100%. This player can play. Also in this game, Pacific with 2 goals or potential goals called back. Look at that hit. The technique on that is picture perfect.
Technique was spectacular on both of these goals. He just, ball's bouncing a little bit. It gets over top of it and drives, lands on the shooting foot, which is for young kids, that's the proper technique. And, this game, Forge has a bit more quality.
So look at it. I just want to point this out, John, because Reed, looked to be onside. He could have squared. He is onside. Could have played that ball square. I mean, this is a team that continues to struggle to score, but moments like this, and then Moses Dyer onside, and we'll show you how he lined up and would have scored. So this is some hard luck on Pacific.
Very hard, because for me, 2 goals that should count. That's onside for me. Right? And a great finish by Dyer.
No VAR.
That's onside.
That's onside.
Also, I always talk about the referee's vantage point, and for me, that's a clear, you can easily see that he's onside.
Listen, I mean, on both of those, the football lines are on the field. Yeah. It's pretty clear. Yeah. I don't see where there can be any real issue no, the lines are there. As long as you're in line with the last defender, you can see clearly, because it gives you a reference point.
Yeah.
I don't know.
The only good news for Pacific, Forge, they're rolling. They're atop the table. Good news for Pacific, that extra rest ahead of that crucial tie at home against Halifax Wanderers this Saturday night, 7 p.m. local time, 10 p.m. Eastern time.